Alex.
There's Eddie. There's Tim.
I'm out of Coach Young's. Alex, I talked to Brad today. Put the fishing trip on my calendar. He said you're bringing your 2 son-in-laws.
Yeah, it looks like one of them's going to sell up for sure. He proposed tonight.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so both of them. Yeah, I'm going to bring them both. They're both. I'll be sending Brad a payment here in a couple days. I wanted to make sure that he was committed.
I'd marry anybody to go fishing.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Brad said all I need to bring is a change of clothes and that's it. And he's got everything else. So I'm good.
Yep.
I think we're gonna fly straight. We're gonna fly straight out to Billings and then drive to Fort Smith and meet you guys there.
It's about an hour and a half from Billings drive.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I didn't think I'd want to do 10 hours from Sioux Falls all the way out there. So I'll get out to Billings out there. I'm gonna see if I can talk them into coming in earlier. We will go to Rapid City and then from there drive up. Spend a couple days together out there. We'll see.
Craig, I saw a story about your son on the news.
Yeah, hey, appreciate that, Ed. It's been a fun year. It's been a fun year.
Was he was in the top 5 in all-time scoring for South Dakota, wasn't he?
Yeah, he Connor and then a kid by the name of Matthew Moores is really good down in Yankton, AA kid, and they finished 3rd and 4th all time in South Dakota scoring. So it was pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Is he going to continue in college?
He is. He's going to go play down at Briar Cliff.
Okay.
Yep. We sent another one of our kids that his name's Sean Roach Valandra. He's staying with us for the year. Todd County ended up canceling sports out there on the reservation, and Sean came and lived with us this year, and we sent him over to play a little football USF with Coach Anderson over there. So we're really excited about that as well. Yeah, they both had a great senior year. It's been a lot of fun to follow and just be fans. So it's been fun. Appreciate it.
If you look in chats, you can see me in the background. He's trying to get Coach on.
So Alex, you're in Florida, right?
Yes, I am.
What part are you in?
I
Just
live in
outside?
Miami. I live in a suburb of the Miami,
Okay.
south of the city. I live south of the city. I live in what's called unincorporated Miami-Dade County,
Okay.
which is outside down south of the city, but
I think we're gonna go to Florida this summer. Since how they're the only ones open. My wife
well,
wants to go
yeah,
to Florida.
it should be nice. I mean, it'd be warm in the summer,
Yeah.
real warm.
And
It'd be
and I sweat
uncomfortable in the summer.
and I sweat a lot, so ought to be fine.
There's a lot of water to be in, so if you're sweating, you just swim in the water.
That's true. That's true.
There you go.
Yeah, I think we have a place in Orlando or at timeshare in Orlando.
Yeah, that's nice there. They got lots of pools there.
Yeah. We'll see. Coach Young, you're up.
We're gonna be
Can
in.
you hear me now?
There you are.
Am I on?
Yep.
That's a good group tonight. Hi, guys, all of you. Folkers, Duke. Coach Anderson, seemed like I just saw you yesterday. Ed Kester's out here to home with me. He's sitting at my dining room table here.
Mm.
Hi, Alex.
Coach, how are you?
Pretty good, thanks. Wolotarski and Levis, your basketball season's not quite over yet. Your son keeps getting all these honors.
It's been fun, Coach. It's been fun.
Yeah. What a young man.
Appreciate that.
Bruce Muller, you aren't farming tonight?
Too cold for me, sir.
I could play golf. You should be able to farm. You got heated cabs and everything. What do you mean it's too cold?
No, we'll start on Tuesday. We got a lot of
Oh.
stuff done already, but pre-work.
That's really, it's gonna really be cold on Tuesday.
No, we're ready to rock.
Hello, Zimmer,
Hey, how's it going, Coach?
Lubo. Who's Rob? I can't see your face. Oh, is that Shaw? Is that Rob Shaw? Oh, okay. Hi, I had to look a little closer with that beard.
I am getting a little gray too, so threw you off a little bit, and I let my hair grow out a little bit.
Our mighty Sid is on, I guess, right? Lubo, hi, Lubo.
Coach,
Let me see your face, Lubo. I want to see your face.
hold on, Coach. I just wait. Where am I at here, Coach? I just took a shower. Hold on.
Okay.
Right there, Coach.
Did you cut your hair, Lubo?
No, sir. I just took a shower and combed it,
Oh, okay. I like it that way.
Okay, thanks, Coach.
You like, looks like you just got off your motorcycle.
Me and Ralph too.
Oh, well,
Have to go for a ride here sometime.
who's got motorcycles? Coach Anderson, I know you don't.
No, no motorcycle here.
Go
Like to
riding
live
with Brian
dangerously.
Hansen if you want to. He's got one. That looks better, Lubo. I can see you're
Yeah,
starting to
that's
look
more
more
me.
normal. That looks a
There
little
we
more
go.
normal now. See, if you had hair like Levis, he combs all his back.
I don't have much left, Coach.
I looked at some old pictures when I first started coaching at USF, and I had the greatest comb over you've ever gotten. It was almost above my ear all the way over. Until some young lady that was cutting my hair one day said, "Why do you do that?" She says, "My dad does it, and it just makes me sick." I said, "Well, let's take it off then." That was it. Here's what you get. I just would give anything to have Lubo's hair, though.
I appreciate that, Coach.
Will you share it?
If I could, sir, yeah.
It just comes off, doesn't it? Don't you just pull it off and set it on the table?
Ah,
How you doing,
Wholehearted.
Rob Shaw?
I'm doing good, Coach. How about yourself?
How's your daughter doing?
She's doing really good. She graduated college in 2 years. One of them
Wow.
smart kids. I don't know where the heck she got that from, but she's thinking about moving to Scotland for graduate school. So,
Holy cow.
yeah,
What's the school she would go to over there?
I have no idea. This is just something that we're talking like a week ago. She called me up and has all these grand ideas. So she was just telling me how cheap it is to go to school over there and how affordable it is. So
Huh.
she did one
Yeah.
of those, I don't know, where your ancestry deal, whatever. And turns out besides being a lot German, we have some Scottish in us. So she has this wild bug to go over there and kind of check things out.
Is that where the golf course is over there? Where's the British
Yeah.
Open held? That's in Ireland. Where's the British Open? Come on, you golfers.
St. Andrews.
St.
I believe they
Andrews.
play like 5 different courses, Coach. One of them's in Ireland. They have courses in Scotland, mainland England.
St. Andrews is the old course. Somebody said that. That's the classic.
The question is that in
Whiskey.
Scotland? Is that in Scotland or is that in Ireland?
Scotland, they got Carnoustie,
Okay.
King's Barn. I played those courses.
Did you really? Is there
Yeah,
any
I played them.
courses? Is there any place in the world you haven't been, Alex?
There's a few, but I'm working on those. As soon as the COVID's over, I plan on. getting
What
those.
kind of animal did you get home? What kind of animal did you hunt over there?
No, I didn't hunt. I just wanted to play golf with my son-in-law for a week. We went to
Oh.
all the different courses and played them for a week.
How come you didn't call me?
Uh, I didn't want you to break a hip there, Coach, and fly you back.
I tell you, my
British-
right.
British medicine isn't as good as
At
US.
Carnoustie, the bunkers are like 10 meters, which is like 33 feet. I mean, literally straight up. It's just a gigantic berm of dirt. So you either have to hit up right to it and then try to hit over. Because if you get into the berm, you got to hit out because you can't, it's just impossible to get out. But those are some incredibly beautiful courses. Well, just it's got all that history and those along the seashore there. It's pretty nice. I played the old course in St. Andrews. I think I got a hat back here somewhere. Right here. Home of golf. St. Andrews.
Oh, wow. Are they all links courses or they don't have any trees on them, do
Yeah,
they?
they're all links. They're all links. Yeah, it mostly was for golf in that era was for the nobility, but the people that played it would go into the woods and play it, and behind the trees so they wouldn't be seen because the land was owned by the nobility. And the guy that, really what the progress was in the golf balls and in the clubs. They have a whole museum there that's pretty interesting to walk through and see the history of golf. And that's how it developed, and then the rules, how it was made up. It's quite an interesting trip. And then they have the great, and if you like Scotch or Scotch, they have all the tours of all great distilleries. So that's why it took us a week to play all the courses, because we stopped at a few of those.
Oh, I love Scotch. Well, we have Justin Jacobs on. Hi, Justin. Can you hear us?
Hello, sir.
You don't have to take your face off.
Can you see me? Can you hear me?
I can hear you, and I can see your face. Are you in a car or what?
No, I'm upstairs in my room, sir. I'm remodeling all my house, so it's kind of a mist.
Oh. Well, Justin came back to South Dakota this past weekend, and so we had a great time on Monday morning. We got together for some coffee or breakfast, late breakfast, and at Kaladi's, and that was a lot of fun. I see him, and he's got a new girlfriend that ran track for Reno. What's her name? Oh, I got to remember her name. What's her name?
Nicole Pittman.
Yeah, Nicole Pittman. Any of you remember her? She's quite an athlete. She was one of the favorites of Rich Greeno. I know that. So why don't you tell us a little bit about, I don't know how many of these guys know who you are, but you came back and you were a freshman, our champ in the national championship year. Is that right, Justin?
Yes, sir. I was a rookie of the year, 1996.
I know. He was tremendous on the kickoffs and so forth. He was kind of a mean dude. He kind of
Caused a fumble that game.
I know you did. That was a big turnaround for us too. So anyway, tell us a little bit about where you've been and what you've been doing and everything. Can you go way back to maybe I know you were in ROTC up at South Dakota State, right?
Yes, I graduated from ROTC. So it was 9/11, believe it or not. I was at South Dakota State as a senior, and I watched the towers fall from my from the actual detachment. I had commissioned about 2 months afterwards, and I was immediately 2 weeks later sent down to San Antonio to begin training, and then I was sent into what they call ISR, Intelligence, Surveillance, Reconnaissance. And I was aboard an aircraft called the E-3 Sentry. And for the majority of my active duty career, I was tasked with what we call NORAD, which is North American Air Defense, under the auspice of Operation Noble Eagle. So I did Homeland Defense. So that was my job. I've pretty much spent 6 years of my life patrolling around the United States, going to certain other locations overseas in Homeland Defense. And then I also worked a couple with taskings under the Secret Service to shadow George W. Bush. I did an assignment down in South America for that. I spent some time in Egypt, traveled all about. In 2008, the Air Force was going through some cutbacks, so they actually paid me a year's salary to get out, where I transferred to the Wyoming National Guard and into the C-130, where I was immediately deployed to Afghanistan 9 months later, and I spent off and on 6 years, my next 6 years of my life in Afghanistan, all over that for Operation Enduring Freedom, in support of that, of the NATO mission over there. And I also, in the meantime, had taken a job as a military contractor, and I'd go back to Afghanistan, only I'd be with a beard and khakis, also doing intelligence and surveillance work, only from a civilian point of view. I'm still currently in the Air National Guard. The focus had shifted from Afghanistan to Iraq with ISIS. So I don't know if you guys had been following, the whole ISIS the last couple of years was the big thing. I was over in Iraq, based all over the Persian Gulf area, flying into Iraq to do that job. And my last tour, I was just in Kuwait in June, and I was involved in a aircraft accident northwest of Baghdad. My aircraft had blown up. I had to crawl out on fire. I took 5 people with me, and I sat for 4 days there in northwest Baghdad. Then I was eventually flown down to Kuwait, where I sat for another month, and I was put under an investigation. And during the investigation, they moved me back to the United States, where I sat for about 4 to 5 months, just waiting for the results of the investigation. And I just got into hunting again, traveling all over Wyoming. It's a good thing about Wyoming is that we got a lot of wildlife and a lot less people, and got involved elk, antelope, deer, turkey. And in fact, next week I'm going turkey hunting again up in the Black Hills region. But in the meantime, I was kind of down and out a bit. and I had reconnected with an old classmate of mine from the coup, Nicole Pittman. And next thing I know, I'm asked to be my girlfriend, and been dating her for a while, but she had to travel back to Sioux Falls recently this past weekend for a friend of hers reception, Angie Neerman, who was also on the soccer team with Nicole. And I had the opportunity to reconnect with Coach Bob Young. And it was wonderful to see Sioux Falls, the amount of change that's happened in the last 20 years. I have worked with the Sioux Falls or the South Dakota National Guard, the F-16 unit up there. But I never really traveled much within the city. I was pretty much restricted working with those guys, but it was really interesting seeing a lot of the change, especially to the coup. I drove by Old Howard Wood Field because that's the field I remember playing on, and we drove out to the south of town there to see the big new stadium, and it's really impressive to me. That's kind of a short version. There's a lot in between, but I'm really happy to have the opportunity to be on this tonight with you guys. Thank you.
What's your connection with Mark Morrell?
So Mark Morrell was in ROTC with me up at South Dakota State, and I was a brand new cadet at South Dakota State, and Mark Morrell was my cadet commander. And I looked at the name and where he was from, and I'm like, so do you know a Chuck Morrell? And he's like, yeah, it's my brother. And I'm like, oh. Yeah, if you have ever met Mark Morrell, he's kind of a little bit opposite of Chuck. He's a fantastic pilot, F-16 pilot. He's actually with the South Dakota National Guard, I guess now, as Coach was telling me. I kind of lost contact for him while I did run into him when I was up at Alaska. We were doing a major exercise up at Eielson Air Force Base in Fairbanks. If any of you have ever been up in that region, north of the Alaska Range, not Anchorage, but like way up there. Part of his mission was also homeland defense, because of course the Russians are always being pesky, flying in and busting through our air defense zones up there, and that's part of his job is to fly the F-16s and intercept them and kind of escort them out of our airspace. That goes on almost daily, and the American public really doesn't aware of it. But
Is that up in Alaska?
yeah, it's up in Alaska. So part of my job was support. We'd fly up. So I supported the F-16s. I would carry stuff for them and bring them stuff. They also have an F-22 unit based down in Anchorage. When I was in AWACS and the active duty surveillance side, we would be going up there as well to shadow the Russians. So the Russians would simulate coming down out of Siberia. They would fly and test our defenses and fly down and simulate that they were dropping bombs on the United States coastline, which is part of it's all kind of like in a political agreement, but that's sort of what your Air Force is doing right now. And believe it or not, a lot of people that you have all been familiar with or gone to school with, that's what we've been doing is serving the country and that kind of missions. So, but Mark Morrell is class A, great guy. He's not like, I always felt that Chuck was kind of a quiet, very intense, very, very intense person. But Mark Morrell is very intense as well. He's a lot like Chuck, looks like Chuck, only he has darker hair. But he's a class act. I would compare him to Maverick on Top Gun, only he's kind of a really gregarious guy, solid pilot, very, very professional. He was a great cadet commander, and ever since, at least I knew him, he wanted to fly, and he did that. So
He's going to do the prayer for the military at the Brandon Valley prayer breakfast in August. So we've had him once before, and we always try to get a military guy that's got some good class to him, and so he's going to do that. He just sent me for his family, because of their parent or his dad dying, they've established a scholarship for seniors coming out of high school, and the qualifications are pretty stringent. And one of the things that really stands out is they're asking specifically for some trying times at a high school student has had over their lifetime. And boy, I tell you, there's 4 of them and their stories are unreal, what they've been going through and everything. And so it was really good. It's so hard. There's 4 of them and he wants me to help him pick one out of the 4. And that's, how do you do that? Just when they all deserve it, they're different, but they're all so deserving. And so anyway, he's kind of his family is trying to decide who to give it to. And that's a scholarship for any South Dakota. I think it's South Dakota schools that they choose. I think it's $1,000 scholarship. So anyway, thanks a lot. Any of you have a question for Justin while he's on?
Thank you for serving.
Thank
Amen.
you.
My
All I
wife's-
wanted to say was thank you for your service.
I appreciate it.
My wife's cousin's husband is the wing commander at Offutt, so I've got to go down there and tour the rivet joints and the black wing and all that stuff. So all that reconnaissance stuff is very cool to me. Kind of got the behind the backstage tour of it down at Offutt. So pretty cool stuff. Thanks for your service.
No, I really appreciate it. Honestly, I do. It means a lot, really, because I mean, that American flag is pretty much a representative to all of us, and how should I say, kind of without getting too sobby, but when you're in it's particularly one experience when I was in a location that was pretty dastardly. You're alone. You're alone over there. You're in hostile territory. You're thousands of miles away from home, and all you've got really is, your belief and the guy standing next to you. And I will bring this up that I think that my experiences in playing football, especially at the University of Sioux Falls, and I remember the camaraderie and the brotherhood that we had that year in 1996. That experience, it touched me. And I know that it was a long time ago, but the lessons that I learned, and I'm not talking about learning how to play football or winning games or winning a national championship. It was the lessons about teamwork and about trust in the guy next to you. Because honestly, out on that field, you had to trust him or else the play would go bad. And that's the thing about competitive sports, is that if you screw up, well, you lose a game or the other team scores. But I really believe that it was a testing ground for what would happen to me in the future, because if you screwed up, the consequences were much more grave. And I felt so strong in my convictions and in my beliefs from the experience that I had at the coup, and it still touches me to this day. And that's what I really appreciate about all this. And everybody has their story. I'm just probably reiterating what everybody else feels in your lives and your jobs. But I just wanted to bring that out, that thousands of miles away in the darkest of times, it's this is what you carry with you, and this is all you have. And I really appreciate the guidance that you had done for me, Coach, and for some of you that had played with me. And I should be saying thank you to everybody out there, and I appreciate your support, because I'm just not speaking for myself. There's a lot of people over there. If I may share a story, I used to run air evac missions. So I was the aircraft that would go in and take wounded soldiers out. And particularly in this location in a province called Kandahar, or province in southern Afghanistan, I went in there and I remember we had to evacuate a Marine Corps unit that had been ambushed and they'd lost several people. And I remember being in the back of that plane, and there was a young boy. He was probably in his 20s, probably is about the same age that when I was playing football, he was over there, and he was with the same thing. He was with his friends and his teammates that he knew at the time, and he lost some of them. They would suffer some casualties. And I just remember the fear in this guy's eyes, just fear. I don't know if some of you could really relate to seeing that fear and that loss in someone's face, the tragicness. It's a tragic loss. It's like immediately death. And I was all that he had. I was all that he had at that moment. He was just so scared. He was sitting in that cot, and I'm just looking at him and I'm talking to him, and he just kept trying to be professional like a good Marine, but he's just, it was heartbreaking almost. But I was there, and I was the only one there for him. And I remember I grabbed his hand and held on to him there as we tried to button up the aircraft and get out of there. And I mean, we were in bad guy land. I mean, if you walked off that location, the people didn't like you. And I was it for him. And and again, I guess I'm trying to get back to that camaraderie. And it's a lifetime thing. It's lasting. Even now, I mean, none of us are playing football anymore, but we're still here 22, 24 years later. So thank you guys.
Two of the offensive linemen in 96 are on there with us. So Rob Shaw, left tackle, and
Rob Shaw, I always remember we always had Jay Wu would call us over, and Coach Garrow was the defensive line coachman at the time. And we would all head over to that field. The field's gone now. It's a parking lot, which is crazy for me. But we would go to that, and we'd do the offensive line versus defensive line. And we'd do the pass rushing. And, it'd be like one-on-one and ever. And I always remember button heads with Rob Shaw, and he was pretty tough, especially me as a little freshman. I'm like, oh, because when I was a little freshman, you come in, you got a chip on your shoulder, you think you're good. I mean, they used to call me, I remember when my nickname in high school was Horse, but when I came into University of Sioux Falls, I was like, I'm Horse, I'm a big power lifter. I'm a football player. I remember Ray Smith saying, your name's Pony Boy, you're Pony Boy. And I'm like, no, my name's Horse. And he looked at me, he's like, you're Pony Boy. And I remember I butt heads with Rob Shaw. Andy Harold was the big one, man. Andy Harold made me better. Rob Shaw made me better because they were good. And I was challenged as a little freshman and I had to beat him. I had to prove myself, and I had to show up that I could play. And Rob Shaw was tough on me. Andy Harold, Travis Eldridge, Hanson, and all those guys.
Brad Schroeder here. He's the other guard.
Brad Schroeder. They were all good. Going back to that thing about team, like what was impressive about that offensive line that year is those guys played that offensive line was a team. They were solid together. They each covered the way they covered their gaps and protected Curtis. It was impressive. And also having Coach Jay Wu there to yell at you, So,
I like how you put it, that he called us over there. That was a nice way of putting it.
Yeah, I'm trying to be polite. But thanks to Rob Shaw for making me better. And
I can say this about you, Justin, your freshman year. You taught me to keep my head on a swivel after an interception, which Curtis rarely threw. And I thought I was pretty quick for an offensive lineman, and I didn't put my head on a swivel, and you peeled back and rocked me pretty good one time.
Well, I had to get my payback. Because I think there was one that we did where you pretty much stuffed me pretty good, and I was like, had to go lick my wounds. But yeah, I got to play. What was so awesome that year was that we were so good. I mean, we were beating teams by like 20 points by the second quarter, and I was very fortunate that us young bucks got to go in and have a lot of varsity play time and get in the games. And I remember going against seniors from other teams, good teams. Like I remember I got into the game against Evangel College, that team that was really solid, because I was the backup to Travis Dumke. And I believe Dumke got briefly injured for a bit. And kind of, again, that's why I appreciate my experience at the Coup, because I was it. they look back at me like, go in, Justin. And here you are. You got to, under very trying times, like we're talking like national semifinal game, and you're a true freshman, and your team needs you because the starting defensive end he's kind of out, and hey, it's go time. You got to rise up to that occasion. And much like a military operation over there, the first thing that goes out is the plan. Things don't go right and things get hairy. And again, one of the greatest experiences from playing, especially in 1996 with that team, is, it's almost like the Super Bowl to me. I mean, every game, like especially that game to me, might as well have been the Super Bowl, even though I've never been in an NFL Super Bowl. I can imagine what the pressure, the intensity to go in there.
Ryan or Justin, we talked about something that we're doing and going to try to do in Wyoming in 2022. Tell them about that.
Well, we're talking about having a get together because, if you all know, we were kind of the Wyoming connection in Sioux Falls that year. We had 22 players, I believe, were on the roster from Wyoming alone. And I can kind of see like the hard thing about reunions, like in Sioux Falls in person, that the Wyoming kids is always tough or get out there. But thinking about, I was talking with Coach, having like a reunion there, and probably the central location in Wyoming is Casper, Wyoming. And I'm going to start. What's good about this is that I'm going to have to get out and reconnect with people. I'm on the volunteer fire department here, and I work at a hospital here. And a guy I see a lot is Kevin Hunt. If any of you remember Kevin Hunt, he's a captain for the city's fire department here. So I see him a lot and talk to him, and he's kind of one of the big guys I know. I've talked to a Brandon Churich. I don't know if you guys remember Mike Nosey from Lander, Brent Jurgensen. He was a freshman as well. But we're trying to get all these kind of guys that really haven't been around for a while with this group, and let's just have a huge get together out there. And I told Coach that I would drive out to Sioux Falls and pick him up, and I'd drive him. I'd be his escort, drive him back and get him out there. And talking about, Coach likes to golf, so I guess we're gonna hook up some golfing up there. And I would like to take people out, go fishing on the river, enjoy Wyoming, enjoy the mountains. Summertime is kind of what we're looking for. It's a good time to be in Wyoming. Nice, cool weather, and like the hot, muggy Sioux Falls, which always killed me, by the way. I don't know how you South Dakota boys handle that humidity. That freshman year, that freshman football camp, I was like, oh, God, can you even breathe in this stuff? So,
well, we were talking, not just the 96 team from Wyoming, but all years. I mean, we had a lot of Wyoming guys that played for, we used to we had that Wyoming golf tournament out there at the Powderhorn, and we attracted quite a few guys from Wyoming to that, and that became very memorable. And Ed Kester knows a lot about that, trying to get Dave Hinkle, his mother, to come over and so forth. Of course, Dave lost his life up in Alaska, but I just was thinking, boy, we could even get somebody like Brian Brooks, I bet you, to come. Probably, right, Brian?
You betcha. I'll be there.
He's in Douglas.
Sorry,
so
Josh or Justin, I didn't see where you were at. Where were you from? I got on late. Where are you at?
I'm in Cheyenne right now. I graduated from Green River.
Okay. Oh, you.
Go ahead.
So did I. In '89. So you were just behind me. You were with Curtis then, or?
Yeah, I was much younger than Curtis. I missed him. My mom was a teacher at Green River High School, Nancy Jacobs.
Oh yeah. Okay. Wow. Old home week. I'm in Douglas. All right. Well, we'll have to connect.
Absolutely. And all of you South Dakota boys are more than welcome. Come on out. I'd like to host, put something on. I might even look at trying to find a nice venue up there, like a hotel or something where we can have a nice big venue for all of us, or I'll get something, maybe even see if I can rent. They've got some cabins up there on the mountain, maybe something. I mean, I'm just full of ideas. I'm just talking here, but
I got a friend at Glendo that's got a big lodge, hunting lodge. So I wonder if we might be able to, if you're up for Glendo, there's fishing, boating, hour from the mountains.
Absolutely. And then we could, if guys got boats, bring them. That'd be great.
Well, anyway, that's really great to hear from you, Justin, and thanks a lot for sharing and everything. It's kind of good to get to know people, and a guy like Ralph Duke, I don't think you ever know Justin Jacobs, did you, Ralph?
No, he was a little bit younger than I. If he came in at 96, I was out at 93. So
To tell you guys, I've got a friend here. His name's Mark. So he was at the coup in 1982, right before Coach Young took over. And I was telling him, I work with him in the hospital at the emergency room. And I was talking to him about Sioux Falls, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I know that place. I went to college there." And I'm like, "Where?" He's like, "Oh, you wouldn't know it, or I would. It's a small college. It's called Sioux Falls College, and I played football there back in '82." And I'm like, "I know the place."
What's Mark's last name?
It's an Italian name, Saloni, Mark Saloni. He's a running back, I believe, back at Sioux Falls College in 1982. I believe it's a year right before Coach Young came in. So
remember him, Alex?
From 80 to 85. I don't remember him, unfortunately.
He's I can't pronounce.
I would have remembered it. An Italian name in Sioux Falls would have stood out, just like a Spanish name.
Yeah, Mark. So, yeah.
Justin, Ryan Rollinger's on now. Can you speak up, Ryan? Was that your freshman year, Ryan? 96? Ryan.
Yeah, I'm here, Coach. Sorry, I'm driving home from a track meet, so
okay.
I'm on my phone. But no, my freshman year was 95.
Okay. He kicked off for us. Justin went down and caused fumbles, and Ryan Rollinger kicked the ball off. So,
well, I used to be roommates with Raleigh. I lived with him on the house in Minnesota, and it's now a Mexican restaurant.
Yeah. Now they tore that down, and it's a strip mall.
Yeah.
It might have been good that house went down.
A lot of memories there.
well, Ed and Rem, we're going to turn it over to you guys a little bit. I want to have you talk about your experience on Saturday morning and some of the things that they've been together for quite a few years, and with them both being out here in my home tonight, why it's very special to have them share a lot or quite a bit about that, the number of people they've got gathered together and doing their, do you have a name for it now?
Not really a name. We just kind of, Ed and Ken Sproles and I have been meeting, we figured for 18 years now. And we took a break one summer and, one spring, I guess. And then COVID came and we had been like not doing anything for well over a year. And Ken joined Inspiration Church and kind of went there, and they had a little group going. So we kind of jumped onto that deal, and it's been a pretty incredible group. There's 9 of us that are probably on consistently, and probably 15 total that jump in and out. Just, with family stuff, you just can't be there all the time, and that's cool. We started doing a Tony Dungy book, Quiet Strength. And the funky thing with that is we started doing it right when my wife went into the ICU with COVID. And it was all about, the whole gist of the book is about your path versus the path God chooses for you. And I didn't really realize that was going to be my path for 2 months. My wife in the ICU, and them nurses and doctors calling me at 6 a.m, wanting to know if they have permission to intubate her. And the next breath telling me that if they do intubate her, that there's a 20% chance she'll survive. And if she does survive, she may have a trach tube and oxygen for the rest of her life. So I'm riding this roller coaster, and that morning, actually the 6 o'clock morning, she's got 20% chance surviving, was our first day in that book. And I was leading. So I pretty much hung up with the ICU doctor, went downstairs and got a cup of coffee, pretty numb, and went upstairs and jumped on the call with the guys, and we started the book. And it's just like Justin was explaining, it's a different camaraderie than you guys are, but in the same vein. Those we have a string of texts going right now, that everyone's constantly checking on each other. Everyone's asking for prayer for this, or can you help with that? We had a guy that's been in the group on and off for a long time physically die yesterday. He passed out at work, went down, heart stopped. And the people at the cabinet place gave him CPR and used an AED and brought him back. And at 11:40 last night, he was texting us. I don't quite know what happened today, but I'm in the hospital. So it's that kind of group that's real special, which is the group this is for me. You know, you get Jeff Folkers and Ed and the guys I know I can count on. My wife's going through COVID, and Mark Wolotarski, who went through it with his wife, calls me one day. I'm in the Costco parking lot. Didn't really know even why I was there, sitting at home, and Tarski calls me, Coach Tarski, and just kind of goes through, here's what's going on. This is what I learned. This is what you can expect when she gets home, and she's going to get home, and really kind of pump me up. It's the camaraderie of the group, the camaraderie of the guys. The trips to Wyoming for me were phenomenal. Alex is going fishing with some guys in August, and truthfully, I don't know if you know, but I've been invited to go with Brad, so you may be stuck with a real greenhorn on the river with me. I'll bring my fly rod because I know that would really piss off Ed. Everyone will have fly rods, and I'll bring a spinner and my Red Devil or Panther Martin. But it's all about the camaraderie, and back to the path thing. You know, I didn't know what my path was when we started this. I was 3 blocks away from my sister-in-law's house for a 2-year-old's birthday party when Ed called me and said, we're going to do this. I just got off the phone with Coach, and I said, all right, I'll call Coach on Monday. And this was born. It's just, you know, if you start really looking at it after you're into this book, and it's, you try to figure out all the decisions you make on your own. You know, you're choosing your path, and you think you're making the right decisions. And truthfully, a lot of them are the right decisions. And then you get this real curveball thrown at you. And that's the path that God's chosen for you. It's really opened my eyes a lot into viewing, you know, what my today is and what my future might be. And I'm not trying to get preachy or anything, but it's just really opened my eyes, and I'm just going to kind of turn it over to Ed, because he always teaches me something new on what we've been working on.
I think you need to go on mute. There you go. Don't want to have the feedback yet, but as you were talking, I think everybody needs someone to go through life with. And if you read the Old Testament, you got story after story after story, the guys that just learned that they can't do things alone. And it's been really, really nice to be involved in Bible studies with Chad and Ken Sproles for 18 years. And different people kind of drop in, drop out of the Bible studies. The reason we got going on it goes way back to Coach Young encouraging Ken Sproles at First Baptist Church to get together with some guys, and somehow we just decided to start doing it. We've gone through so many different books that just challenge you to look at your faith life. And this last group we just got going with COVID, I've never met the guys that are on this Bible study, but we've been through some really, really heavy stuff in the last year with Chad and Amy dealing with COVID, Ken's wife dealing with cancer. We've got another guy that's going through chemo right now, and he's really not doing great, but he's getting through it. And we're doing our best to encourage him and pray for him. And I was just telling Coach Young when we got here about something that happened that just blew my mind as we were going through this Saturday morning Bible study. We got to the end of the Bible study, and one of the guys said, we're doing prayer requests and praise requests at the end of the Bible study. And one of the guys said that his wife lost a child that week. So that kind of hit us, and we prayed for him. And I was telling Coach Young, like, I was, we were praying for comfort. We were praying for healing of the family and hope and everything else. And the next week, his wife had a doctor's appointment. She went in, and they were going to do a procedure to, end things. And they heard a heartbeat. And he's got a child now due in October. It just one of the wildest things I've ever seen. Just to see him go through that, and to talk to him later, I'm joking the next week. I mean, what do you do? He's going to name his child Lazarus, or I mean, it's just crazy what happened. And I hope that didn't sound wrong. It just was. You hear about the power of prayer, and you hear about miracles, and that's a miracle that happened. And in the Dungy book that week, it was talking about God's plan and your plan. And it just struck me that our plan was to pray for healing. But God's plan was to deliver a baby. That's pretty wild stuff. So I've heard people talk about that stuff. I'd never seen it close up. I saw it close up. So it's pretty cool when guys, and they're faithful. And this group of guys, I know we all have our own story on how we got to Sioux Falls College, University of Sioux Falls. I have no clue. So many things had to happen for me to come from Ronan, Montana to Sioux Falls College that it's just unexplainable. And I showed up as a freshman in 1985. Got to know Coach Young, just like we all did. And, you start to form into a young man, and the friendships that you develop on a football team are just beyond explaining. And Justin, thank you for sharing. I'm just really humbled by your commitment, your service, and you doing the dirty work while we're just doing what we do. That's just awesome stuff. So God bless you for all that you did for all of us. But we're part of the Cougar football team, and it's Coach Bob Young that's the connection. I will say there's another one on this call that's a huge connection for my generation of players, certainly. That's Sid. Sid is like one of my favorite people ever. I love to see him on these calls. I've spent so many great days of my life golfing with Sid Quartermeyer. And now to see John Anderson on the call, and he's doing the same thing with guys today. So just camaraderie, friendship, and the love of Jesus Christ makes life worth living. So thanks, guys.
Thank you, Chad. And Ed, maybe somebody had any questions for them or comments. We'll kind of open it up and give them a little feedback.
I'd just like to say thank you, Ed. It's kind of it's a matter of age that I don't really know some of you, but I really appreciate this to get a chance to see guys that came before us that set the tempo for us in 1996. I remember hanging out with Hanson a while back, and he says, little freshman, we were so used to winning football games in 1996. And he says, man, you don't know what it's like to go 2-8. You don't remember what it was like. And I really, I'm not saying like you guys, I just want to say that you guys came forward before young guys like myself, and you set the tone, and appreciate it very much. Appreciate your support for the military, and thank you.
Thank you, Justin. Anybody else got a comment either for Justin or Chad and Ed? Jeff Folkers, you've been pretty quiet tonight there. You're a Wyoming grad. You'd come to the reunion from Las Vegas, wouldn't you? Or is it Las Vegas or Reno? Yeah, that's right. Reno. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm from Casper, Natrona County. We didn't like Green River. They won state wrestling that year in '86, and I don't think they gave it up for many years. But
you guys were good in baseball.
Hey, we were good in football. We were 10-0 my year, so I don't know what. No, but you know what? Hearing these stories, I mean, my little story is nothing compared to what you guys went through, Justin and Chad, and I was just gonna say I had surgery 2 weeks ago on my shoulder, and I was very anxious because the last time I had surgery on my left shoulder, it was 7 days of pure torture. So I was very anxious, and I had some friends pray over me the night before, and I tell you what, I went through probably less than 24 hours of pain. I only needed 2 or 4 oxys the whole time, and it was just, that was a miracle to me that happened over the last 2 weeks. And I think it is the power of prayer and the power, and I know people praying for me, and that was, I mean, I can move my arm. It's just, it was a miracle surgery. And so I know Ed was talking about the power of prayer, and you believe in it, you know it. And I pray for you guys all the time, this whole group, whoever shows up. And I think God is working in miraculous ways for us and others that we pray for. And I think that's a big part of my life right now. And so, Justin, thank you for all you do. You kind of, you did what sometimes I dream I could have done, I mean, without all the terrorists around me and stuff. I didn't want that, but so thank you for your service, of course, and for everybody else that's on this group. I look forward to it every 2 weeks. This is my solace. I can't miss it. I just can't. So I appreciate all you guys. And yes, I'll come to Casper or Glendale.
Thank you, Jeff. We're going to hear from John Anderson a little bit here, but Brad Schroeder, before we go there, you've been kind of quiet, and I know that you lost your dad to COVID. Some of them may not know that. You might tell them a little bit about the encounters, and your very strong faith-based family, a Christian family. Maybe just explaining some of what you went through, and maybe some of the difficult times you had. I'm sure there was a lot of prayer for your dad.
Yeah, there was a lot of prayer for dad, and it was just kind of a roller coaster. The first week he was in the hospital, they kept saying, "Oh, don't worry about it. He's fine. He's on a plateau. He's going to come out of it." And I don't know, just in a couple of days' time, all of a sudden we went through all the things that Chad was talking about a minute ago. We're on the phone. I was actually coaching my youngest son in junior football and had to go out to the car to take a phone call because they were getting ready to intubate dad and wanted to know if they should do that or not. And then a couple of days later, he died. So it was a roller coaster. I don't know how I would have got through it without my faith and just the friends and support that we had around us. But I guess, it's our faith is what carries us through times like that. I guess listening to all you guys talk about the camaraderie, and thanks Justin for your service. What was going through my mind was I got on the call a little late here today because I was at a track meet earlier today watching Craig's boy Connor run and my kids. But as I was standing there, here comes Jeff Gross, and so I haven't seen Grossy in a couple years, and standing there in a track meet, we could pick up and talk like we were at the coup again. And I think we stood and talked for an hour and a half, just because of that camaraderie that we had there for 3 years at the coup. So those things are what's important, those friendships that we've made and those times that we have together. And those friendships that we have are what carry us through tough times, like we had last October when Dad passed. So, yeah.
Thank you. I was just thinking, okay, Amy made it through. Your dad didn't. I would have to think about Romans 8:28. All things work together for good for those who love the Lord and called according to his purpose, and I'm thinking, as I look at both of you, I'm thinking one case, it seemed like Amy, there was a lot of people praying for Amy. I hadn't really heard about your dad until actually he passed away, and then all of a sudden I just didn't know about it. And not that I would have prayed any different, but I just wasn't aware of it, Brad. And I maybe whether another prayer would have turned it around for him, I don't know. But I feel bad that I was not aware when your dad was in such critical condition. So
Yeah. Well, and when he really started taking a turn for the worse, the verse or the passage that Christ put on my heart was in I can't say the reference right now, but I think it's in Romans where Paul says, for me to live is Christ and to die is gain. And he was talking about how if he could live, he would go on telling people about Jesus, but if he died, he got to go be with Jesus. And that's what really was put on my heart during those last few days. And then after Dad passed, we started hearing some of the stories. One of his nurses connected with my mom while she was sitting by his side in the last few hours. And she told my mom a story about how she grew up in the church, but had left the church and hadn't been back. And while she was taking care of my dad, he asked if he could pray for her. And after that, she started finding her faith again and was going back to church. And she's been kind of writing letters back and forth with my mom. And so to hear that story of him sharing his faith with his nurse when he was on his deathbed was a pretty special thing.
thank you. I just thinking as you're talking there about losing my wife, I've been I shared about her Bible, or that it was used so much, the binding and everything was falling apart, and it was in a case, otherwise it would have just been loose papers. But the other Bible she had, I didn't know, she started using that. It was smaller, and now I've been kind of using it. I've got a big one that's a study Bible. It's really heavy, and it's to lug it around. It's to go to, it's good to have at home. Let me put it that way. But her other Bible, I just well, it seemed like every time I look up some scripture in there, she's got it underlined already, or there's a little note beside it. The ones that really meant a lot to her, she wrote a little note in there, and she had such nice handwriting anyway. And to me, it's kind of like she's talking to me. You know what I'm saying? It's that feeling, and I don't know. I mean, like your dad, I don't know what you do to grieve properly, but to me, it's been a blessing to me. Diane didn't have to go through COVID. She was getting in pretty bad shape just as COVID started. And it seemed like right at the end we would have been restricted to even visit her. And that would have been really tough to not go visit the one that you've lived, and married 60 years to, and not be able to have the last moments in life. Were you able to be with your dad?
No, he was on second floor and he had a window, so we'd go to the window and call him and he'd stand up and talk to us on the phone. And the last time I talked to him that way, he said, well, this morning was really bad, but I've turned the corner, I'm getting better. And he seemed a lot better. And then that night is when they put him in ICU. And then my mom couldn't go in to see him until we put him in what they called comfort care, which was basically they're just making him comfortable. They moved him to a different room. And so she was able to spend, well, after they took everything off and just were making him comfortable, he lasted about another 24 hours and she was able to spend that time with him. But I was just, as you're talking about Diane, I was reminded I was in a Bible study with her and several other people at First Baptist, probably about 10 years after I graduated. And it was her turn to lead the lesson. And it was on the armor of God, when Paul talks about putting on your sandals and putting on the helmet of right, the breastplate of righteousness and all these things. And she converted it all to football gear. She had shoulder pads and the helmet, and it all just made perfect sense. It was just the greatest illustration of that passage I've ever seen. And I just loved it. And we had all these other people that didn't even know what shoulder pads were, and they were struggling a little bit, but I really enjoyed what Diane had to say at that Bible study that night on the armor of God and how she illustrated it with football gear. That was a lot of fun.
When I retired, Paul Heinert, I don't know how many of you know him. He was sports. He was in his senior year, and he had to do a project for media studies. And so right at the end of 2004, Diane and I getting ready to go to Florida to visit Alex down there, and he comes and says, "Can I do for my project? I'd like to do your life story." But so part of it was done while we were down in Florida, but when we came back, he interviewed Diane, and she's on the video. And I just found that about 2 weeks ago. I didn't know where it was. I kind of forgot about it. I pulled it up, and now, and to listen to her speak about the athletes and how we operated as a team and everything, it just kind of fits into being a part of this group right here. It just really meant a lot to me to listen to that again. And then Reed Beyer, who's also passed away. If a lot of you know who Reed was, he was probably the best. He was the greatest SFC plant. We played together. We came to USF together and played together. And then afterwards, coming back from Arizona, we became reunited, and he just became a great fan for the Cougars. So, but anyway, he spoke on there quite a bit too, the two of them. And it was very meaningful to listen to that again. So anyway, we're kind of getting late here, but John Anderson, give us a little report on your trip down to Northwest Missouri, and maybe anything else that you'd like to share with the group tonight.
Yeah, I'd love to, Coach. Thank you. Before I do that, man, a lot of thoughts racing through my mind. First of all, Ed and Chad, thank you guys for spurring this group on and including me. And Coach, you're special to us all, and this is great to be able to be on when I can. And I'm at a little bit of I feel like I didn't go to USF, but I've been associated with USF since 2002, and quite honestly, I identify more with this program than I do even my alma mater, and I got some very close teammates from my days of playing, but we don't have anything like this, and we're trying to get it going. I had a roommate pass this summer. He was 42 years old and sudden heart attack, and I was talking to my head coach and brought up this call and how we do things, and we're trying to get that going with my group of players there. But you know, just being with USF so long, I just feel blessed to be included and feel part of that program, and you guys as well. And I appreciate everybody that makes me feel that way. And you know, I need you guys to know that we're working hard to do the same things with our team right now that coach did for you guys, and you know, that's high pressure to be able to do it as good as coach did for so long, but we're trying, and I wish they could put some time and see this call. I've told them about this, how important it is to some guys that played a long time ago, that they're still remembering their time as a college athlete and how important it was in their lives, and maybe not at that time, but certainly now I hear and see that from you guys, and I appreciate you sharing that with me. And you know, it's a lesson and the reminders for the kids that I get to interact with on a daily basis to, you know, be about the relationships and be about the family and those things that we work so hard to instill every day. So I pray that it's taken root, and that the next generation of this call is coming forward with those guys. And we have had, since it got nice out here the last couple of days, I've had a couple old players stop by practice. It's funny how they come out when it gets a little nicer, but when it's raining and cold, I don't see anybody. But they came back out and you know, got recent grads and had the chance to let them speak to the team. And it's just mindful to my guys right now how when you're in the thick of it, it's there, but when it's gone, it becomes even more meaningful. So you know, I just want this group to know, and coach, you know, but I'm working really hard to do that for these current guys, and if anybody's ever in town, everybody's ever wants to come out, open window to come spend some time with the current Cougars. So briefly, I know I'm talking a lot here, but we did have the opportunity to go down to Northwest Missouri State on Saturday. It's the first time that we've played football against another opponent since the 2019 season, and was desperately needed. Our kids needed to play and compete and learn how to the joy of playing, and that's you know, we did well. We made some mistakes. We got some kids hurt, but the biggest takeaway from it was just you can't believe the smiles and the pure elation that they had to play football again with their teammates, and it was really joyful for me to be able to experience that with them, and we made some great strides, and we got another one coming up here in 2 weeks, or a week from Saturday, excuse me, with Morehead State out at the stadium. And that'll kind of wind up our spring season, but it feels closer to being normal, whatever that means here for the future. But we got high hopes for being able to have a full season and do things that we need to do for the fall, and we'll pray we keep making those strides. But again, just humbled to be able to be on here with you guys, and humbled to be able to lead this program, and appreciate everyone's support. You mentioned about going through things and with people. I certainly did this fall, and Chad, I certainly appreciate all that you did reaching out consistently. Coach, you were definitely with me too, and many others and through prayer. So I understand that, feel that, and want to do that for any of our Coup family here too. So thank you for letting me share a little bit tonight.
What time is your scrimmage or whatever you're going to do on that 24th? What time is that? Is that in the afternoon?
Yeah, it's 2 p.m., Coach.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. Anybody have any questions for John, Coach Anderson here while we're...
Are you going to be able to do camps this summer?
Yeah, I believe so. We got them scheduled. We're gonna have a couple youth camps for the little kids that we're gonna start advertising here beginning of next week, and then we're gonna do a couple of high school prospect camps too.
Cool.
June, in June will be the time we do those.
Coach, I'm out in Washington. Are you gonna get Tom and Tim to get all that information on the 24th so we can sit down and watch it here?
Yeah, it's we're not going to stream it. I apologize. It probably wouldn't be very watchable. It's not even. It's a glorified practice, is what we're doing. There's going to be very little scrimmaging. What we did down in Northwest Missouri was a lot of practice situations. We did a little bit of live scrimmaging at the end, maybe like 15 plays. We did an overtime period, which I'm happy to report the coup won 6-3 in a true overtime period. But we're just trying to get a little practice in and get nobody else hurt here through this spring. So sorry, we're not going to be able to do that for you.
Okay, we'll wait till fall.
There you go.
Coach, did the seniors lose their eligibility? Or did they,
No,
are you gonna be able to retain them?
That's one of the good things the NCAA has done is nobody used a year of eligibility this last calendar year. So everybody is granted an extra year. I got the majority of my seniors coming back. We're calling them the super seniors because many of them are redshirted and are going to be in their 6th year. We got majority of those guys back, which life moves on for them too, and they're putting it on hold to be able to come out and play. So yeah, it's a good situation.
So what classes are they taking since they have to be eligible with, were they taking like underwater basket weaving classes like that to stay eligible?
Good question. I probably got 20 guys right now. I bet we're up to about 25 next fall that are guys that are already graduated that are in grad school that are earning their grad school programs. And it's going to get interesting to try to have that much school available for our guys. Some of them some of us are like Rob Shaw in here, their 7 years is normal, but sorry, Rob.
I was just gonna say show off. Show off.
I hear they have a
Many of the
PhD
guys
in
are having to slow
USF.
down or take time off because they are good students and they want to play ball, and then you got to figure out how to be a full-time student while you're doing that. So,
Coach, how's your son doing?
oh, thanks, Craig, for asking. He's doing really good. I get asked that all the time, and I think we're about 9 months out, and best way I can describe it is we think he's fully healed because he's back to being a snot-nosed 16-year-old and everything that goes with that. No, just the prayer and the way that came out for us. He's got a few minor things that we're dealing with, but he's overcoming. He's on track in school. He's healthy. He's finding some passions and some different things now that he's football contact sports are off the board for him, but he's found what the weight room is, and he's getting some gains there. He really likes that. So all good. I appreciate you asking. Thank you.
Ryan Rollinger, are you still on?
Yes, I am, Coach.
I just played golf out at Spring Creek today. That's a pretty loose term. Play. I struggled, but your girls golf coach, I don't know if he was the head girls coach or not, but they were having a what do they call it? A meet? Is that out there?
I think they were having a duel today.
With Sioux Falls Christian, right?
Yep.
Anyway, there's a male coach that was with them out there. What was his name?
Rob Doyen.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway, I thought, boy, that's a job. being with those cute
Yeah.
little teenage girls.
Yeah, they get off school like 19 times to go out and golf.
What a
and
job.
They can't even coach them during the tournament. Yeah, it's a pretty nice gig.
Anyway, saw Harrisburg over. Do they really wear that bright orange for their golf team?
Well, coach, some of those are 7th and 8th graders, and I don't know if they know where the ball's going. So if you're gonna have bright orange, hunter orange, chartreuse, whatever you need to get out of the way.
If you've seen those orange cones, that's very similar to the same color they were out there today. And boy, did they stand out. It was like Sioux Falls Christian. You don't hardly notice them girls. But anyway,
It's
we're
safe.
getting to the end here, guys. If you want to cash off, why some people have left us already, but it's good to have you on and everything. It's been a pleasure. So thanks a lot. So any last comments from any of you? Ralph Duke, you got anything, words of wisdom you want to pass on today?
Anything that I would say is not a word of wisdom, Coach. But I actually remember when Rob Shaw showed up to play ball, little freshman that he was, and how just I think you could see the look of awe in his eyes at some of the guys that were out there. But I've seen him now, and he's grown up a little bit. So, and the gray hair, we've all got that now. So it's just nice seeing everybody and bringing back all those memories. And Justin was talking about going up against the guys that just made him better. Well, Chad was one of those that made me better. Of course, I never got to chase after Ed all that much, but little protected guy that he was. So
Ed got his yellow jersey out in our Bible study the other day. He still has it.
I got it in the closet. I can pull it out at any time.
yeah, well,
Do they
next
still
time
wear
I see
yellow
you, I'll
jerseys, Coach Anderson?
We do. Yeah, absolutely. Yellow jerseys.
You couldn't wear them in the game though, Ed. You had to run for your life many times.
Is that why I've had 3 shoulder surgeries?
Yes, I think that's the reason. Aren't you thankful that we gave you such good protection?
Yikes. Well, guys, we're kind of winding down to 20 after, and so maybe we should wrap, and I'll get this up on the internet. Unless anyone has anything they want to share before we go.
Brian Brooks, would you close us with prayer tonight?
I would love to. Father God, we thank you for just an opportunity to be together in spirit. God, you've joined our hearts many years ago. Many of us through your Holy Spirit and his work, your work in our lives. And God, it's evident tonight. It's fun to listen to the stories of how you work. You are alive and you're at work in our lives, even through some of the worst tragedy. So God, we praise you for that. Thanks for the men that shared tonight and just their testimony, the testimony of grace and just blessing in so many ways for so many of these men and their families. And God, we praise you. We give you the honor and glory for that. I thank you for Coach, his willingness to invest. As Coach Anderson said, there's something different about Coach Young in that he invested in men and their lives and their families. It didn't just mean football. And God, that's evident in these guys that are faithful and spending time now with Coach Young. And so we thank you for just this connection that we have. Thanks for those that have put it together. And we just ask your blessing upon it, upon these men, God, on USF football and those athletes that are out there trying to wade through this difficult time. We just thank you. We give you all the praise and glory in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Brian.
All right. See you guys. Love y'all.
Thank
Okay,
you.
you too.
Thanks, guys. Thanks,
See ya.
Coach.
Love you guys.
Thanks, Chad. Love you, coach.
Love you,
Phil.
coach.
Thank you. Special.